everyone, Tina here. I hope your day is going wonderful. Welcome to Try It Out Tuesday. Now today we're going to try something a little different. We're using some items that I've had in my stash for a while, starting with the stamp set from Avery Elle. This is called Sea-Prise, and I do have the coordinating dies. They're sold separately, and I don't even know if this stamp set, it's a smaller 3x4 one, but I don't know if it's still available or not. But really, you could probably get away with using any kind of fish for this card. So we're going to use this. If it is available, I'll link it down below. But to create my watery background, I'm going to be using a stencil from PhotoPlay. This is the Wave stencil. It's actually a 4x9 stencil, but we can use it for an A2 card. And I'm also going to be using another stencil from PhotoPlay. This is the 3-piece dot stencil. This is actually a set of 3 different dots. You have the small, medium, and large, and we're going to use the large. And I'm going to go ahead and set these over here, and we are going to start by coloring our little fish. Now, I had created a card long ago. The video is probably really old, but I'll link it at the end with this little shark. I believe I used colored acetate with it, but I'm going to use the little puffer fish in here for my project today. So we're going to grab this guy, and I'm going to put it on an acrylic block, and we're going to do a little bit of coloring. I don't think I've used this little guy before, but we're going to start off by stamping him 3 times. I'm going to go ahead and put this little puffer fish back so I don't lose him. And then we're going to do a little coloring. I already picked out the colors that I wanted. I have them in this little metal container. If you hear it, the metal container, that's what it is. But you can see I kind of chose some bright colors. We're going to go for a yellow fish first. And for my yellow fish, we're going to go with Y13, Y15, and Y19. And I'm going to go ahead and use my lightest and color in the bottom. Let's zoom in, huh? That would be helpful. We're going to go ahead and start by coloring in the bottom of our puffer fish, and I'm going to do this for all of them with my lightest trio of colors. I'm going to play some music while I color in the rest, and when I'm done coloring, I will get you back. After my images are all colored in, I'm going to go ahead and take the coordinating die and I'll die cut out each one of my fish. all of my fish are cut out, and that's all the cutting we're going to do with our stamp set. Now, before we go any further, I do want to do a little bit of stenciling. And again, I'm taking the largest polka dot. I have pixie spray behind my stencil, and since this is a little tidbit, guys, a little tip and trick. If you have layered stencils, this is not a layering stencil, but I know there's a lot of layering stencils out there. Keep some of your packaging, just regular packaging, for example, like this, the plastic. Trim it down and put it behind your stencils that you already have your pixie spray behind. This way they don't stick together. That's what I did here. So when I remove my plastic, it's just packaging, and I keep it behind here because I already have the pixie spray behind my stencils. So that's a little tidbit. If you have layering stencils or a stencil set, keep your packaging and trim it to your size of your stencil. So that's a little tip and trick. I'm going to take my stencil and a piece of vellum. The vellum that I'm using is Hero Arts Classic Layering Vellum. It's very heavyweight. Nice, it embosses nicely, but it also stencils nicely too. So I'm going to bring in some scratch paper. This is just regular scratch paper, and I'm going to use my tape runner, and I'm going to adhere. I got lint on the back side. Excuse the lint. I'm going to go ahead and adhere my vellum to my scratch paper. Let's move our puffer fish out of the way. Next, I'm going to take my stencil, pixie spray to side down, and we're going to layer it over our vellum. Now we're going to make a birthday card, so I need a little bit of splash, and I'm going to be using Stencil's glitter gel. If you have Nuvo, actually I have that. If you have Nuvo Glimmer Paste, you could use that as well. It dries really quick. I thought it was out actually, that's why I was going to use my Stencil's. But looks like we have some left, which is good news. But this is going to work just as well. This is Stencil's glitter gel, and it's called Moon Dust, and it's very different consistency from the Glimmer Paste. This is more kind of soft, and actually almost like a slime. I don't know if you have kids or know how to make slime. That's what this reminds me of. Whereas the Glimmer Paste is more sandy. But I'm going to use this because I already created one that is already dried. So we're just going to basically take our Moon Dust stickles and go over our vellum with our spatula. Okay, once I have this evenly spread, I'm going to go ahead, put the lid back on here so I don't make a mess. And we're going to lift up our stencil, hold down our vellum, and I want to take this to the sink really fast so it doesn't dry on there. And then my vellum, I'm just going to go ahead and let that dry on my cardstock. But it gives it a little bit of dimension, and I think it's the perfect look that I'm going for my birthday card. My stencil is all washed. I'm just going to put this back on that plastic packaging, and we are going to take a look at what it looks like when our vellum is all dry. And you can see here it does crinkle up, and it does have a little bit of dimension, which is really nice. But I'm going to see if I can flatten this to where it looks a little bit more appealing. So we'll set that aside, and I do want to work on one more background. I'm going to bring in some Bristol Smooth cardstock and the stencil from PhotoPlay. It's called Waves. And we're going to use this side. I'm going to go opposite. And we're going to use some Distress Oxide inks. And I have 3 colors. I have Broken China, Chipped Sapphire, and Mermaid Lagoon. We'll start off with Chipped Sapphire. And we're going to add some color. Sorry about the shaky camera. I'm going to lower it and shift it just a little bit. And then we're going to grab Mermaid Lagoon. And I'm going to use my other blending brush for this. And we're going to add a little color. I'm going to cover up. These are little elements that you could use to your background, use for your background. I'm going to cover those up. It's going to pull the color that I already had on the stencil into that open area. And I'm not going all the way to Chipped Sapphire. I want a little bit of that white showing. Next, we're going to move it about 3/4 of an inch, and we'll bring in Broken China. Let's put our Distress Oxide inks away and clean up our surface. Now, after we have our little ocean waves done, I'm going to do something a little bit crazy. And this is double-sided adhesive. I happen to be using Ulta News double-sided adhesive sheets. I'm almost out. But I trimmed this down so it measures 4 inches by 2 3/4. And I'm going to remove the release paper off of one side. And here's where I'm going to go a little crazy, and you're probably going to go, what is she doing? But I'm going to adhere this right over the top of my panel here. And then I'll take my paper trimmer and trim around it. Next, I'm going to take some foam. I'm going to trim down a panel that will fit behind this. And then we're going to put the fun foam on the reverse side here. So it kind of looks a little funny. But I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do with this until I am done with one more thing. I have some strips. These are about 1/2 inch strips of white cardstock. And I want to make some candles. So making candles is pretty easy. I'm going to use the same Copic markers that I use for my fish, with the exception of teals and oranges. I'll start off with pink. And then all I'm going to do is go kind of create a candy cane pattern. And these are 5.5 inch long. So this is my darkest pink. I'm going to go in with my medium pink. I'm going to go right below it. Oops. That can be the bottom. The thing with this is you're just kind of creating some diagonal stripes. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then I'll take my lightest pink, which is RV10, and we're just going to fill in, blending it together. I think I might have to replace, the nib on that marker is about ready to go. So there are my 3 candles. Not yet though. Next, I have some yellow cardstock. This is Spellbinder's Color Essentials Beeswax. And I'm going to create my own flame by just freehanding it. If you guys don't trust yourself with freehanding a flame, what you could do is go through your leaves. You could use a leaf dye also. But I'm going to color this in. And I'm going to be using my yellows. We'll start with the same yellows I used for my fish. We'll blend them together. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing 2 more times for my other flames. I'm going to use some gray cardstock and just cut some thin strips. And we'll flip over. I didn't color the top of that, so that will be our bottom. And I'm going to angle this candle at the very top, flip it over, add some adhesive, add my candle wick. I'll trim that down, and then I'll add some adhesive, and then we'll add the candle flame. There we go. There is our birthday candle. We'll do the same thing with these. Now what we're going to do is bring in our vellum that's kind of crinkly. And then I'm going to remove the release paper off of the front of my waves that we created. There we go. Okay. So this is our waves. You want to make sure your waves are right side up. And then I'm going to take my vellum and we're going to center it over our adhesive and press down real good. This way we get the wave effect, but we get to straighten our vellum out and we get the shimmer. Kind of dulls down the back. Now I'm going to flip this over, remove the release paper, and then we're going to add this to our card base. Now what we're going to do is adhere our candles. We're going to kind of position them where we want them. I'm going to go ahead and remove the release paper and tack these down where I want them. And this candle, I'm going to add adhesive towards the top. And okay, and then this guy. Let's get to go there. Good. Now before we go any further, I do want to stamp my sentiment. And for this card, of course, we're going to use a little extra puff for all those candles. And I went ahead and stamped that on some white cardstock and just blocked it off. I'm going to flip this around. We're going to add some foam squares behind here. And then we're going to go ahead and add a little extra sparkle with some diamond stickles. And I think this card, well, minus the pink, depending on what color you use, could be for a boy or a girl. And I might need to get some more diamond stickles. And then that is my card today, guys. Something just a little bit different. You barely see our little ocean wave behind there, but it's there. But nice little festive card. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a fabulous rest of your Tuesday. Have a fabulous rest of your week. And we will see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye, guys.